about $80 worth of markers. Hello there everybody, Swandzz here today to talk to you about markers. If you are into art at all, chances are you've heard about Copic markers and how friggin' expensive they are. Well, I was gifted some for Christmas this past Christmas, so I finally got a chance to try them out. I have been using alcohol markers for about the last 2 years, I would say. It took me forever to finally test them out. I don't know why, but I absolutely love them. However, I have been using Prismacolor alcohol markers. I recently got to try Copics and see what the hype was all about. So in this video, I'm going to be giving you my opinion on Copic markers, whether or not they are worth the hype or the cost. And then I'm going to tell you the same thing about the alternatives that I have used. That being Prismacolor alcohol markers and Hobby Lobby store brand alcohol markers. So these are the Copics I got for Christmas. This is about $80 worth of markers. I know it doesn't look it, but I believe it is like 30 something dollars, $35+ for a 6-pack of these markers. Now I know what you're thinking. Why the bleep are they so expensive? That's what I was thinking as well. That's what I still think. Unlike some other alcohol markers we're gonna talk about, these are refillable and reusable, so if you break the tip off or the nib gets worn out, you can replace those, and you can also refill the ink. So you only have to buy the actual marker once, and then in the future you would pay for refills as you use the markers up. Also, Copics makes a huge range of colors, so I think that they're probably the lead in different shades. As you can see here, I don't have a lot of like the in-between colors, but that's just because I personally don't use alcohol markers in that way. If you wanted to get a more rendered, like flawless blend on your artworks, similar to like what you could get in digital art, for example, then all the different like many in-between shades that they make would definitely come in handy for like perfectly smoothly blending those colors together. However, I prefer kind of the painterly, artsy vibe of like the chunky blending of colors, and I can give you an example when I show you the art that I've done with these. So this was one of the first little sketchy doodle things I attempted to do with the Copic markers. Don't be alarmed, the white that you're seeing is actually Posca paint pens. That was not done with alcohol markers. To my knowledge, you cannot get that effect with alcohol markers unless you just didn't fill that in and the paper was white. I assume. I don't know, I'm not that smart. You can see in this drawing what I meant when I said I like kind of the chunky layering of colors, so I'm not so into the blending things seamlessly and perfectly, but if you were, Copics is great for that because they have so many colors. Also, Copic markers are blendable, so you don't need a blender pen to blend the colors together. They themselves already overlay on top of each other and blend together very well. My one criticism with that is that I think, in my humble opinion, that they lack pigment because of that. Or they suffer in the pigment department because they are so blendable. This is another Copic marker sketch I did. In my opinion, the colors, because they blend together so well, they might not stay as vibrant as you could possibly want them because they tend to blend into each other. The only real negative thing, besides obviously the cost of these markers, that I have to say about the Copics is the fact that I was used to more pigmented markers because I had been using Prismacolor, and to me, in my opinion, I find Prismacolor markers to be more vibrant and more pigmented, which is something that I lean towards anyway. In the type of art I do, I use a lot of color, and I don't shy away from using unnatural colors where you wouldn't normally have them. Let's use that as a good segue into Prismacolor markers. This beautiful figure study sheet of my dog was done entirely with Prismacolor markers. As you can see, they are super, super pigmented, but they do have that very chunky look to them because they actually, they do blend. Like, to a certain extent, they do blend over each other. However, with these markers, you would want to buy a blender to blend them as well as you could blend, per se, a Copic. They also aren't refillable or replaceable. Like, you can't like fix the nibs and stuff when they start to go bad. You would just buy a new marker. However, they are cheaper. So in the long run, you're probably going to be spending probably around the same amount of money, depending on how frequently you use them and how often you need to replace the markers themselves. And I think the markers are $5 or $6. I'm gonna put on here exactly how much they do cost in relation to the Copics as well, for individual markers and for sets. With that being said, these are still expensive. There's pretty much no good alcohol markers that work well that are cheap. There aren't. And I feel like that's a good segue into the store brand alcohol markers. I have not used all store brand alcohol markers. I've never used like Michael's brand, for example, but I do have some experience with Hobby Lobby brand. I bought this set of skin tone Hobby Lobby brand alcohol markers because I wanted to see the difference. I wanted to see how these compared to Copics and how they compared to Prismacolor, for example. I did buy a blender. So this white one here is a blending marker that's supposed to help these other colors blend together better. Again, I don't believe that these ones are refillable the way Copics are. I'm pretty sure you would just buy another marker. And I could be wrong, so don't quote me on that. I know, I come here to make educational tools and I don't have all the information. I'm just giving you the information I have, okay? So these bad boys are pretty much just as expensive as Copics. Unless, of course, you're getting them on sale. So Hobby Lobby does that weekly ad where a whole portion of the store will be like 40 to 50% off. And that's actually when I bought these, when they were having a 50% off sale on their store brand art supplies. I would not recommend you buy these when they're not on sale because they are not worth $34 for 6 markers. I'm just gonna tell you right now. I do not like them as much as Copics and I do not like them as much as Prismacolor. They are a little more pigmented than the Copics, I think, because they are closer to the kind of marker that Prismacolor is, even though I feel like they're trying to be Copics. And what I mean by that is they're not really as blendable as Copics are, so they just like hold their own pigment better, and then you would use the blending pen to kind of blend them together. However, the blending pen doesn't really work. I'm just gonna say it straight up. For me personally, when I was trying to blend with it, it kind of just like made the colors like shrink up and get all patchy. Maybe I'm doing it wrong. I don't know. Nah. I would say as far as entry-level markers go, they would be fine if you wanted to like just test alcohol markers out because they are still better than like a Crayola marker or some other random marker that's not meant to be like a true like artist's tool, but they are not worth the price, I would say. Get them on sale if you're gonna buy them, because if not, you might as well just get Copics because they're literally like $2 or $3 cheaper. It's not enough to make it worth the difference to buy them full price. Also, I don't like them as much as Prismacolor, and Prismacolor is also cheaper than Copic. So honestly, I wouldn't even buy these unless you were getting them on sale, because you can get them for 50% off. And at that point, it's like, okay, fine. The blending pen doesn't work very well, whatever. At least they were 50% off. So this poster I did with all 3 of the markers, all 3 types, just to see how I like them all working together. There is also paint on this. Like the back I painted and used paint pens, so just ignore that. Most of the wolf here was done in Copics. A lot of the inside here is Prismacolor. Her skin was the Hobby Lobby brand markers. So like I said, they're not terrible. They're really not. It's just that, you know, for close to $40 for 6 markers, you would want them to be phenomenal, exceptional, extraordinary. Not, they're not bad. That's not what I want when I'm paying that kind of money, okay? Here's an example of a more realistic type of portrait done with the Prismacolor markers. Like I said, I usually don't attempt much realism. These markers are great. This was also done with Prismacolor. I've had them longer, so I have more examples of Prismacolor markers in action. So the takeaway from this video is that alcohol markers are awesome. They're great. They are a wonderful investment. I would highly recommend them to people who have previously kind of leaned towards digital art, but they want to try out traditional art, because for me, in my opinion, alcohol markers kind of approximate the type of style you can get with digital art, especially if you're into drawing like manga or anime, anything with like those very vibrant colors. I really, really, really love alcohol markers. And I have to say that my favorite brand out of the limited selection that I've tried is Prismacolor. They just, for me, they're perfect because they're so pigmented, they're so bright. I love how like smooth and apparent they are. I love an opinionated marker. So as my collection grows, I'm sure I will add more and more Prismacolor markers. Just look at them. Look how beautiful this is. They're wonderful. However, that does not mean that Copics are not worth the hype or not worth the price. It's just, for me, I don't care about necessarily that the precision and the blendability as much. But if you do, if that is something that's important to you, then you would definitely lean towards the Copics. However, I think that quality-wise, like what you can get out of the markers, they're super, super comparable. I would not say like that Copics are a better marker. It's just kind of up to preference. Also, with the Prismacolors, you can find them a lot of different places online for like a lot of different prices. I got a 12 fashion color set off of Amazon for like $19, I think, which is a really good deal for these types of markers. I think my full 24 set of skin tone markers from Prismacolor was like close to 80 bucks. All in all, alcohol markers are wonderful. Whichever you buy and use and like, you know, keep making your art, because the world needs more of it. That's just my stance. If you guys have any questions that I can possibly answer, things I didn't cover in this video, like I'm not an expert, obviously, I just am a person who uses things, products, okay? You can leave them in the comment section below and I will answer them to the best of my ability, as always. You can pledge to my Patreon if you'd like to support me. Who doesn't want to support me? I send out monthly stickers, and also you can see videos one day early. Subscribe, I guess. Love y'all, bye!